And today my adventure begins right here in the small town of Varnville, South Carolina. And I am so pumped to be here today. Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitchhiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is so exciting to be setting out on this journey today to go track down the Forrest Gump filming locations. Now, I announced I was going to make this video several vlogs ago, so I just can't believe I'm really here. I've been wanting to do this for so many years now, and just to be here in the Savannah area filming a filming location video about one of my favorite movies directed by Robert Zemeckis is finally here today. I'm actually going to do it. So I know it's going to be an all-day journey for me probably, because I'm not very familiar with the surrounding area. So I'm going to do the best I can, and let's go have a good day at it and track down some of these film locations and see what these spots look like 33 years later. 33 years. Man, that makes me feel old, because I can remember this movie when it come out. So let's go ahead and have a good day. Appreciate you hanging out with me. Let's get started. Okay, so right across the street here in downtown Varnville, you can see this old two-story brick building right on the other side of the train tracks. And that is definitely a backdrop in the movie when Sally Field, who plays Forrest's mom, is walking him across the street right here. And I'll put the screen grab up where you can actually see them walking across holding hands. Notice the telephone pole right behind little Forrest on his over his left shoulder. And this is what it looks like today. You can still see the telephone pole there, but it seems to be a little crooked. It's not as straight as it was in the movie. The brick building back there is still there, but the old white Sinclair gas station has long been removed. So Forrest and his mother actually walks right across the street here, and notice this manhole cover right here. This right here is actually where the little actor that played young Forrest, right here is where the grating was attached to the sidewalk, and this is where his foot got stuck. So this is called the Hampton County Chiropractic. But in the movie Forrest Gump, of course, it's a barber shop. And back then, when they was filming the movie, they actually had these wooden benches, like about right here on both sides. And there's like three gentlemen or something like standing right here watching Miss Gump and Forrest come over here. And when he gets stuck right here in this little sewer drain, they just sitting there watching in amazement, you know. And then she's kind of embarrassed, and she's trying to get Forrest unhooked from the grate and gets him up. And then when she stands here, she looks at him and says, "What's wrong? Have you guys never seen little boys with braces on their legs?" And when she says that line, Sally Field is actually standing right here in front of this manhole grate cover. So that is pretty awesome. And they just walk right on down this sidewalk here. And it's such a neat opening part of the movie. The story is just beginning at that point of Forrest's life. Now, throughout the movie of Forrest Gump, this street right here is used several other times, because this is Greenbow, Alabama in the movie. So this is their hometown where they live. So this right here was the barber shop. And this right here, this storefront, is a very interesting one, because there is a scene at night where Forrest and his mother are walking down the sidewalk, and like right here in this window is a TV that Elvis Presley is performing on some television show, and he's doing the dances that Forrest taught Elvis in their like bed and breakfast, where his mom would like take people in and stuff, like her bread and breakfast. And one of the people that stayed there at Forrest's house was Elvis Presley. So he's doing the music and doing the moves that Forrest was doing with his braces on his legs. And she like looks at him. She's kind of horrified. Don't look at that, because the women are losing their mind how Elvis is moving. And if you look over their shoulder, it's kind of hard to see because of the glare of the window. But if you look right behind them, right across the street, you can see these windows right here. Right now it says God's Glory, but notice it has like a scaffolding up there. It used to have like an overhang. Well, you can actually see that overhang. I think it's like green and white stripes in the film itself. And also there is some other shots that are used here throughout the movie. A lot of the running scenes, when you see little Forrest, when he first goes on his first like running craze, when his braces come off his legs, you actually see him run right here in front of the barber shop, right down through here. And then later on in the movie, when you see the adult Forrest Gump running, once again, that scene, he runs right down through here, and I think he turns and he goes down that way. So that is going to pretty much wrap it up here in Varnville, South Carolina. Really cool filming location if you are a fan of the movie. And I'm not 100% sure, but I was looking at this little sewer system here, and you notice there's these like little holes. You got like a hole there, a hole right there. I don't know if it is or not, but that could possibly be the old metal like framing, the grate that little Forrest gets his foot stuck in. So there might be a little bit of movie history still left behind. All right, that will pretty much wrap it up for Varnville. Now on 278 East, headed toward my next destination, and that is going to be a church. All right, I made it to the next location. This here is in an area known as McPhersonville. And this here is a church here used in the movie Forrest Gump. I think in the movie, I think this was Bubba's old church. And the scene that gets them here to this old church is remember they're doing some shrimping. Him and Lieutenant Dan have teamed up and they're trying to catch shrimp, and they're not having any luck. And Lieutenant Dan looks at Forrest and says, maybe you need to pray. And the next scene you see is Forrest and Lieutenant Dan actually are right here at this very church inside doing some praying. And Forrest actually says that Lieutenant Dan left most of the praying to him because Lieutenant Dan was not much of a believer. All right, so let's take a little peek inside and see if it still looks the same all these years later, 33 years. Yeah, it does. Look at that. Oh my God, that's so cool. Right there is where the choir, right behind that pulpit, was where the choir was singing. See the windows on either side of them? And Tom Hanks stood right in there and clapped his hands and sang some gospel in the movie as they was trying to get a little help from the good Lord above to help them catch some shrimp. So as I look through the side window, notice the door right there. Well, just to the left of the door in the movie is where Lieutenant Dan would have been sitting in his wheelchair at the very back of the room behind this last pew. That is so cool. This is awesome. What a cool spot. All right, so that'll be it for the church. Pretty short and sweet. So now I want to go get in the car and we're going to drive a little bit further east and go find the Gump plantation that was used in the movie. A lot of fun scenes were filmed right there on that long driveway, just lined with the live oaks and moss. We're going to go check that out next. So at this moment, I'm only about a mile away from the iconic Forrest Gump Gate. That is how it reads on Google Maps. But look at this area. This road is so beautiful with the Spanish moss. I bet you in the spring and summer it's really nice down through here when everything's green. Right now everything's dead because I'm here in February 2026, but nice little drive down through here, that's for sure. All right, my friends, I have made it to the famous and iconic Forrest Gump Gate. And this here is called the Bluff Plantation. And the gate is actually open, but it is private property. We will not be making our way out there, but this right here is a very famous location where they did the Run Forrest Run scenes from even when he was a little boy and when he was like an adult or high school years, where the bullies are chasing him down this very driveway. This is so surreal just being here. Even the fence, the brick fence, still looks very much the same. In the early part of the film, when Forrest and his mother are walking from downtown Greenbow, You can see this bridge right here in the background. At that point of the film, it's actually a dirt road. There's a tractor driving down the road. And there's like a row of mailboxes, like right here in this vicinity. And they walk right by that and then continue down this beautiful driveway. And speaking of the mailboxes, it was lined up right here. You know, there's another scene in the movie where Forrest is talking about Lieutenant Dan took some of their money, invested it into this fruit company, which when he opens up the letter, it's Apple. They invested their money in Apple stock, and he said they never had to worry about money again. That was all filmed right here. It is so cool to be here. Such a surreal moment for me, being a fan of the movie and watching it so many times. My mom is the first person who really turned me on to watching Forrest Gump. Hopefully she enjoys this video. And check out how beautiful and large the live oaks are here on this property. They are amazing. And speaking of live oaks, supposedly the Jenny tree, where Forrest and Jenny, when they're kids, they climb this big live oak tree. Supposedly, it is very close to here. It is on private property, but you should be able to see it from the road. So we're going to go check that out real quick before we leave this area. All right, my friends, I have made it out here. It's about 3 miles away from the iconic Forrest Gump gate. And you see this big live oak tree right out there. That is the tree where Jenny and Forrest, when they're kids, they're climbing the tree. That is the tree they would go meet at and play at and talk and everything. And that is so cool, man. That is the actual tree itself. Now, I didn't even know this tree existed. If it wasn't for Google Maps, I would not have known much about this, because I was reading the tree where they actually buried Jenny at the end of the movie was built. It was like a set piece or something. And I don't know if this tree was used in that scene or not, but supposedly online it says this was the actual tree where them as kids, and I mean, it's just secluded out here. If you look around, there is not a lot of anything. And it is got a no trespassing sign here. So I'm not walking past this gate or anything like that. But yeah, right there is the iconic tree from Forrest Gump. That is so cool. Back on the road again. Now I'm headed toward Beaufort, South Carolina. All right, I have made it to my location here in Beaufort, South Carolina. I am here at Whitehall Park, and we are going to take a little walk over here to this Woods Memorial Bridge, and that is the scene from Forrest Gump when he is running. He's got his beard and he's got his Bubba Gump shrimp hat on. And in the movie, it says Mississippi, like he's crossing the Mississippi River, but not really. He's actually right here in Beaufort, South Carolina. Let's go check it out. I just wanted to take a second to let you see how beautiful this park is while I'm here. It is so beautiful. So as I walk along the path over here to this bridge, which, you know, sets in for the crossing of the Mississippi River in the movie. There's other filming locations here in this area in Beaufort that is the setting for Bubba's hometown of Bayou La Battery, Alabama. In the film, he proudly tells Forrest that his family has been in the shrimping business there for generations. Bayou La Battery is a real small fishing and shrimping town on the Gulf Coast of Alabama. And after the movie's release, it became closely associated with the character of Bubba. So as I make my walk over here to the bridge, I thought I would share some fun facts with you about this movie. And a lot of this stuff I did not know. I'm just gonna pass on the knowledge that I read about online. And first fun fact, Tom Hanks wasn't the first choice to play Forrest Gump. John Travolta was actually offered the role of Forrest and turned it down, which he later admitted That was a big mistake. Also, the movie won big at the Oscars. It won 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor being Tom Hanks, Best Director, Robert Zemeckis. And for Tom Hanks, it was back-to-back Oscar wins for him. He won the year before for the movie Philadelphia. Oh yeah, by the way, if any of you guys out there are single watching this, I found a place that you might be interested in. Ladies Island. Okay, I've made my way up here to the top of the bridge, and I want you to pay attention to this 15-foot 0 inches sign for clearance, because you can see the back side of that sign in my screen grab. So I'm going to go back over here and get in position and try to line up the screenshot for you, but just remember that sign I just showed you. All right, I made my way just about to the right location now. Just remember that height sign right there I just showed you. It will be in the screen grab that I got. But about right here is where Forrest Gump would have ran down through here with the reporters with him. Pay attention to the right-hand side. You will see these like squiggly bars located right there. And right here in this middle bar, that is where you're going to see the Mississippi signage for the Mississippi River. That all happened right here. This is such a cool location. It's a very busy location, but nonetheless, cool piece of movie history happened right here on this bridge in Beaufort, South Carolina. All right, my friends, I have made it about 10 miles away from the bridge, and this waterfront property right here was Bubba's mama's house in Forrest Gump. And it almost looks like it's being used as a vacation home now, because really there is no movement here at all. And I think back in the day you could actually get permission and come onto the property, but it's all fenced up now. And in the movie, Forrest would have walked right around this corner right here. On the back side of the home is actually where you can see the porch. It's actually on the back side of the house is the porch. So I read online, but I just wanted to come by here just to document it and show this property off, because it is kind of a big part of the movie. I'm still here at Bubba Mama's property, and kind of hard to see, but right back there, those crazy looking trees, that right there would have been the location where Bubba was buried in the movie. And you see Forrest come and visit Bubba and tell him his plan about getting into the shrimping business and starting up Bubba Gump Shrimp. All right, my friends, I have made it to my next location. This here is where Forrest actually bought his shrimp boat that he eventually named Jenny. And this here is what's left of the dock. Matter of fact, right here behind me, this here could be a section of the original dock where Tom Hanks actually walked right out through there. And that is all that's left 33 years later, is just the pylons of the actual pier or dock itself. I'll put a screen grab up to show you what it looked like in the movie right now. And you can see, and I want you to pay attention to the right-hand side of the screen. You can see like a power box or a meter box on a post. And then when you walk over here, believe it or not, the power box or meter box is still here all these years later. Look at that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty awesome. It's a shame that the docks has long been damaged in probably a storm or something. But this is a very, very secluded location. It's kind of hard to get to. But nonetheless, this is a pretty neat location. This is where Forrest bought his shrimp boat. And back on the highway now, we're leaving Ladies Island and headed toward St. Helena Island. All right, I made it to my next destination, but unfortunately, There is a lot of construction going on here at the Gay Fish Company. And the thing that happened here that unfortunately I cannot show you is this is where Forrest like docked his boat after he bought it, and he ended up painting Jenny on the side of it because he was taking the shrimp boat out and he was not having any kind of luck of catching shrimp. And one of the guys on the dock talked to him and said, hey, you need some luck. You need to name your boat and then you will have better fortune when you're doing your shrimping. So he ended up naming his boat Jenny. And that happened right here at the Gay Fish Company. And then another fun fact about it was they supplied all the shrimp for the filming of the movie. So just a little stop I wanted to make. Unfortunately, they are doing a lot of construction here and they got signs up, so I can't get out there to it to actually walk on the dock and show you where his boat was actually docked at. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose in these things. So let's go ahead and head on over to our next location and hopefully everything is good there. Okay, now I'm making my way over to Hunting Island. And this is where a lot of the Vietnam War movie scenes were filmed. All right, I have made my way out here to Hunting Island State Park. And we actually entered right along through here. And I drove down through here and we actually parked. And this here is the Marsh Walk Trail. And this is where Forrest Gump and Bubba in Vietnam, when they first meet Lieutenant Dan. We're going to go out here and check out the island. And then we're going to make our way over here to this area, to this beach access, which you got to pay like $8 to get in there. But this right here is the lagoon. We're going to go check it out after that. And that is where Forrest saves a bunch of his platoon during the war and wins the Medal of Honor. But first, let's go out here and check out the camp where they first met Lieutenant Dan. And wow, look at this place. That is wild. Now in the movie, once we get on the island, I'll put some screen grabs up, but in the movie, they I guess CGI or whatever, they put a bunch of helicopters coming across this marsh area. Make it look like Vietnam War was actually going on and all that good stuff. So I thought I would throw another fun fact or two out at you. Tom Hanks took quite the gamble on the movie Forrest Gump. He must have really knew this was going to be something special, because instead of taking a big upfront salary, Hanks chose a percentage of the profits. That decision reportedly earned him about $60 million. For this right here, this could be the vicinity where Bubba and Forrest are walking together toward Lieutenant Dan's tent. Maybe. This is a long shot. But maybe back then, maybe this boardwalk was not here 33 years ago. And they had their own boards or something. So this would have been a little bit of an incline. I'll put the screenshot up, let you see what I'm talking about. How it kind of comes up a hill, and they got like a big black like smoker, like a grill off to the left of the shot. And then if you look behind them, you notice all that marsh, all that green grass. There is no kind of body of water behind them like in the other scene where you see all the choppers coming by that was like superimposed. And then you got that tree line. And then if you look right here, now right now where I'm standing, we got some dead stuff out here, but if you just look out across there, it looks very similar to what was behind them with the marsh and the tree line out there. So it could be that right here could have been the location where they walk up, and the smoker, the cooker, could have been like off over here somewhere. You know, obviously all this was not there. They had this decorated up the way they wanted to look with their palm trees and all that type of stuff, but it is elevated here, just like it is in the movie. And the backdrop looks very similar also. And I'm thinking maybe they walk down through here together, talking. That's when Bubba's talking to him about, hey, I bet there's shrimp all in these waters, and once we win this war, we can come over here and shrimp. And maybe right here in this area would have been where Lieutenant Dan's tent is, and this is where they walk up to him And both of them ends up saluting Lieutenant Dan, and he says, put your hands down. You know, there's snipers all in this area. They would love to, you know, wax a higher up or officer or whatever. So that is just a thought. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think we're going to go ahead and vacate this area and let it be. It's just so different. And go check out the lagoon over in the state park itself, and then we're going to make our way further south down back towards Savannah. All right, as I drive through Hunting State Park, which is $8 to enter, but luckily it was shift change and they said we could go in for free, so that's pretty awesome. But you can definitely see why they chose this area for the Vietnam scenes of Forrest Gump, because it is very, very heavily tropical looking. It's very beautiful. All right, my friends, I have made it out here to the lagoon. This was a awesome scene in the movie, and probably one of the sadder scenes in the movie. I mean, the Forrest Gump movie has quite a few scenes that are emotionally touching, but I think this one is probably one of the more touching scenes for me, because I love the character Bubba so much in the movie, and him and Forrest being in the military together was great. Really, really cool. But this right here is the lagoon that you see in the background during the Vietnam scenes, where Forrest is saving a lot of his platoon. And he's actually searching for Bubba the whole time, but he keeps finding more wounded warriors and keeps carrying them out. And one of the ones that he first finds is Lieutenant Dan. He brings him out, and Lieutenant Dan is not happy because he wanted to, you know, die for his country. He wanted to go in combat, and Forrest robbed that from him, you know, just having a value for life. And he ends up bringing him out here and setting him right here on this water's edge here at the lagoon. There's several other people that they show him saving, because he is winning the Medal of Honor at this point. And then he finally finds his friend Bubba. And matter of fact, if I turn the camera around right here, it's hard to tell because in movie magic, they really decorate and thicken up, you know, the surroundings. And you got to remember, this movie was filmed 33 years ago, but they would have ran from this direction with Bubba, carrying Bubba out of here. And he would have made his way right over here to this little knoll area, I think is about where they did a lot of the filming for the movie. It looks like anyway. It's kind of hard to tell because it was so long ago, but I would guess it was right here in this vicinity. And this is where Bubba uttered those words, which I thought was very heart-touching in the movie. I want to go home. You know, he's been shot, and he was dealing with that, and Forrest was, you know, walking, you know, kind of talking him through that whole thing. And it was just such a heart-touching moment when Bubba looks at him and says, I want to go home. He wants to go back home to his mom, you know. So all that being said, I think we're going to end it right here at the lagoon. And I want to go ahead and get back in the car and probably drive about an hour and 20 minutes from this area. And we're going to make our way back down on the other side of Savannah. I got one bridge I want to cover down there. It has something to do with Jenny. And then we're going to make it to the downtown area of Savannah and finish off the vlog with the historic Forrest Gump bench and the location of the bench. This has been a fun day today. I hope you guys have had fun so far. We got a little bit more to look at. I really appreciate you being here. Let's continue on. All right, my friends, I have made my way onto the south side of Savannah, Georgia. We are going to end up in Savannah, but I wanted to stop here and show this filming location. It's just north of Richmond Hill. It's really close to Richmond Hill, but this location right here is at a restaurant. It's called Love's Seafood and Steaks. But in the movie Forrest Gump, it was like a gentleman's club. It was still called Love's, but it said like girls, girls, girls on the side of the restaurant. And I'm hoping I can kind of peek around the corner here. So look at some shots right here. Yeah, I hope that ain't too loud. That the wind's blowing and that flag up there is really buffeting, but Yeah, you can see the sign lit up in the movie. It says Loves, and then right here it says Girls, Girls, Girls. And even though they filmed scenes here of Forrest and Jenny actually walking across the bridge, kind of bickering and arguing at each other because she was in there, you know, singing on stage because she was like naked. All she had was a guitar. And one of the customers was kind of unruly toward her, you know, grabbing at her. And Forrest took offense to that, and he took matters in his own hands, and he ends up trying to save her and whisk her away. And she gets really upset, and she goes walking across the bridge. Now, the bridge that is here today is not the bridge they walked across. About right here where this like, you know, this white picket fence looking thing is, this is about the location of the original bridge that they used. So I guess during the filming of the movie, they was two bridges. They was building this one, and this one was actually in operation, and the old bridge just had not been torn down yet. So when you're making a film, I guess it made it really, really easy to film on the bridge because it was inactive. So probably about right here is where the camera was shooting, and it was filming Jenny and Forrest walking across the bridge, and over their shoulders you can see Loves, and you can see Girls, Girls, Girls right there on the side of the building. On that funky shape where it kind of slopes down, you can see Girls, Girls, Girls. And that is where that scene unfolded, is right here outside of Richmond Hill on Highway 17. And let me tell you, it is a very, very busy Highway 17, my friends. Okay, let's get off this dang bridge. All right here is our next stop. And this ain't really a per se filming location, but a very popular piece of the film is inside of this very museum, the Savannah History Museum. All right, now I have made it into the Savannah History Museum, and there it is, the Forrest Gump bench from the movie, Tom Hanks, set right there, over there in Chippewa Square. This is so cool. Right there is him, along with the director of the film, probably talking about how they're going to put a scene together. This is so cool. Just to know that this is the bench that they donated to the museum once they was completed with filming. And of course they have a sign here. It says, "Do not touch." This is so awesome. Now I did read online that they built a handful of these benches. It wasn't just one. And I don't really know like how many scenes this would have been in, but supposedly reading this little paper over here, it says this is the one that you read online. It talks about this was the one that was in the film, at least in several scenes. It's just cool. I think if you're going to do a film and location video about Forrest Gump, you got to pay to get in to this museum, but I think it's well worth your video to put this bench in the vlog. That's just me. Now, since we've seen the bench, let's go ahead and make our way over to Chippewa Square, where this bench sat during the filming in 1993. And then we're going to wrap our vlog up today. It's been a fun day. I really appreciate everybody seeing it through to the end. So let's go wrap up our video at Chippewa Square where this bench once set, and look at that film on location. And then we're going to call it a day. It's been awesome. All right, I walked from the museum over here to the corner of East Hull Street and Bull Street. And this right here is the famous Chippewa Square where Forrest Gump, a big chunk of the movie was filmed right here. They had a bench, and right there is where the bench sat for the filming of the movie. You can see this backdrop. You can see this monument right here behind Tom Hanks and quite a few of the shots. It's really cool. And then in the opening scene of the movie, when the feather is first coming down, you see this steeple right here. And the feather kind of drifts down along, comes around through here. And I think it comes right over here to this sidewalk, right over there where that nice lady and child is sitting. And that's where the feather is. And there's like a cart comes by that whiskers it up. And then it floats right over here and lands right at Forrest Gump's foot. And that is how the movie opens up. So I found some pictures online of when they was filming the movie. They actually had these big white screens right here where they had blocked off the street. And Tom Hanks just sat there and did his lines and told the story, narrated the movie from that point of view. And I just thought that was so interesting how they had like 3 big screens right here where nobody could really see him. And you can kind of see this like curve right here of this concrete of this bench in the shots that I seen. So pretty awesome to be here and see this really, really famous location for Forrest Gump here in Savannah, Georgia. This was such a great day. So much fun to come out here and witness all these cool filming locations. All right, my friends, I think that is going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thought this was a great location to kind of end the vlog. I don't think very many videos that I watch actually ended their video right here at the famous Forrest Gump location here in Chippewa Square in downtown Savannah. But I wanted to be a little bit different today. You know, I'm not rewriting the book or a wheel or anything today. This has been covered many times, but this was my experience and I enjoyed sharing it with you. All that being said, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, my friends, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you at my next adventure. Y'all stay safe. Hope to see you all again soon. So long from Savannah, Georgia. And there it is, one last shot of where the bus bench sat during the filming of Forrest Gump. Definitely my mom's favorite movie, and it's definitely in my top 5.